You've checked all the boxes: career, success, stability. But if you're still wondering why something feels off, you're not alone. The truth is, you've been managing for everyone else. But now, it's time to prioritize you. So join the Healing You First Masterclass with myself, Coach Lauren J. It's happening on August 28th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you're going to uncover the real reason you felt disconnected and learn 5 powerful steps to heal the relationship you have with yourself. So reserve your seat now at CoachLaurenJ.com/masterclass. That's CoachLaurenJ.com/masterclass. And don't forget, you deserve this, and I'll see you there on purpose. So welcome to the Unmute Your Mic podcast. It's your favorite host, Coach Lauren J. And I am so excited about today's episode. Listen, if you have been with me for weeks, then you already know that we're going to have a good time. But today is like something different because I actually have a surprise. Y'all, I have a guest on the podcast, okay? Don't y'all get all of my DMs and don't y'all get all excited. But I'm so excited about having him with me. And we're going to be talking today about a topic that is very near and dear to both of our hearts. So today's topic is going to be about redemptive love. But before we get into the topic about redemptive love, I got to first introduce you guys to one of the most prolific writers of this time. And I know he's probably over there cringing, but he's just going to have to cringe today because listen, y'all, this man is absolutely amazing. Not only is he an amazing person, he is a proud father of an amazing daughter. And he's been walking with God, like for a little while. 24 years, who counting? And he just enjoys just sharing the incredible adventure that he's on with God. He co-leads a Bible study. He works with a faith-based community alongside friends. He's surrounded by just God's love. And trust me, when you finish hearing his heart today, you're going to be like, where he said he was from. Where we find him. He wet. Well, he from Seattle. It rains. So please be ready. If you have not gotten a pen, a paper, you may need to just pull on the side of the road. Because if you think I snatch edges, oh, no. Today I've met my match. And so without further ado, the author, the speaker, the coach, God's favorite son, Jeremy A. Watkins.
The
Jeremy,
new generation.
I'm so glad to have you.
I feel so honored, the first guest. That's like, I feel like Jordan when he was announced. You know what I mean? When he was came out. So funny. I appreciate your support. You've been such a great contributor, great encourager. Man, over the last 7 years of just God creating through me. And so I feel so honored to be the first guest on this show. I feel like it's right. It's right. It's perfect timing.
It is. It's going as planned. So I am very glad that you're here and excited to jump into our conversation. So I'll give y'all a quick story of how we got to this conversation. So Jeremy is well, first of all, if you read Jeremiah in the Bible, that's him. Okay. Teaching intimacy with God. In our conversation, when I reached out to him about doing this episode with me, we came to the idea that we really wanted to help reconcile man and woman and bring a very human conversation to the conversation. And of course, always bring God, but also to really bring restoration and redemption and reminders that quite honestly, you're not going through anything different than somebody else. And so this conversation today around redemptive love is going to be very healing. It's going to be very raw, very real, because that's how we play on unmute your mic. Okay, that's the whole point
Absolutely.
of having your mic off of mute and your lips open to speak. So I'm sure this is probably going to be the most vulnerable episode of my career because Jeremy definitely brings out the most vulnerable pieces.
Let's go.
So you start us off because you came up. Y'all notice how I said that I feel like Adam in the Bible, but he was like, the woman you gave me. God was like, why y'all got the leaves on?
Why y'all hiding?
Right. The woman you gave me, that's why. So the man you gave me, he came with this idea that I just brought the title.
It's man, it's such an interesting time right now in the world because there's so much content with social media, so many movements happening in the world, especially in men and women, so many things that are changing, that in the midst of those changes and evolutions and new conversations that we're having that we maybe have never had, maybe in our country before, I can't speak in the rest of the world. I feel like we're not collaborating on each side as men and women about what is changing in us. And when you have women that are evolving and walking into a space of social equality, financial equality, relational equalities, and those definitions, those standards, those experiences are changing. It's like changing without us being a part of the conversation. And then we're evolving, we're changing, and things are also being modified for us. And as we are evolving, we're not having the conversation with the women that are being affected by it. And so we're creating this huge divide between us. And it literally feels like the garden relived, where the divisiveness that the enemy has intended to bring man and woman from separation. Because when we're together, the image of God is seen in its entirety through Christ loving the church. And if we cannot be as God has made us to be, because we are evolving according to the world's image of what they say we should be, then no matter what we define love to be, will always be perverted. And we'll create preferences and desires and personalities and have wisdoms and have belief systems and conclusions that are formed from a perversion of the thing that we want to be pure. And so no matter what side comes with this is our standards and no side comes with this is our standards, now love becomes a demand instead of being as a gift as God intended. And so now we're kind of tug of warring, like you're pulling your side, the women are, and the men is pulling their side. And God's like, there was never supposed to be a rope to begin with. Why are we pulling a rope? Why are we in a tug of war? And so I just thought it would be really great to just come in and just tackle some of the things that I feel like are being really mass produced on social media. A lot of conversations that men and women are having that are actually drawing us further away instead of closer together. And then like, what is God's intention of like having women come to this like new catapulted height in our American society where they are like economic growth and wealth and can have a life that men are normally dependent on to produce? And what is God's intention with that? Instead of just having our own understanding of what it looks like from our own like self-absorption of what it looks like for a life. And so I think redemptive love has to start with like, you can't redeem love between two people until you redeem what they believe about love. And until we can agree that God is the only person who can define it. And if he defines it, and if there's any part of us that disagrees with what he's saying, then we have to come to the self-awareness of saying, well, I'm the one that's in error and not God. And I think if God was to come and to sit us all down in a room and he was like, this is what love is, I am it. And let me show you what it is. Let me express to you what it is. Let me show you how it is in Jesus, that all these things that you guys are bringing into the standards of a relationship, because I don't have that there. So why do you? If we say that we really are the image bearers of Christ, then why is your image different from mine? You know, why is there separation that I didn't create? Why do you have your opinions that are not filtered through my conclusion of something? And what a beautiful opportunity for you and I, Lauren, to dive into that conversation, to give people a starting point of what questions to ask. Maybe they didn't think to ask, or maybe things to pray about, maybe things to allow themselves to be challenged in their own conclusions of what love is, so that God can redeem us and bring us back to the place when we look upon his face. That is the only place where love can truly be defined and rightly experienced, for us to come out and say, this is what we want with each other. So, yeah. So, Lauren, I guess I would want to ask you this question. What do you think is a starting point for redeeming this kind of like separation that we're experiencing between men and women in our society today? Where do you think that first step is of taking the barriers that we've built and then turning that into a bridge? Where do you think that first brick should be laid?
I think it's really in vulnerability and us unlearning some of the toxic things that we've learned, especially when we look at culture and we look at what culture is saying about love, and really culture is calling it love, but it's really lust. And so we're falling prey to the same things that we was falling prey to in the Bible days. It's like the Bible really then gave us the cheat code. It's going as planned, or not. And so I think this season of life and love, and you and I have both been married before, both have divorced. Like, I think at this point, I know for me, I had to realize I had to become a healthier me, right? Like, healing me attracted the better version of me. And it couldn't have come at a better time to now be able to kind of speak about that. But I think where we fall short as Christians is that we want things to appear perfect that is extremely imperfect. And I get it, because people are cruel and people be people in. So, yeah, it's hard to put yourself out there. I mean, you and I are both people that are, I guess you would say, quote unquote, put themselves out there, right? We've both written books. We've both shared our life. We both have spent time in ministry, but yet and still, I don't think it ever gets easier. And so I think as the body of Christ, like, we have a requirement to start really speaking about the things we've been whispering about.
It's good. It's good. That's a great reflection. It's interesting because, like, now love seems so much more simpler than earlier days when I was trying to define it. Like, I remember going into my marriage, I was trying to spiritualize a belief that I had about love that actually was born from my mother, that was never born from God. And so I thought God was speaking through a perverted love that I didn't know was perverted until I was divorced. And I remember being angry, and I was like, man, like, was that not you? Like, did I get it wrong? And he goes, Jared, you think that I am the totality of your experiences, and that none of your experiences define who I am. They just define you. Oh, and I was projecting on God. And I was like, well, isn't love like, will you just empty yourself out on a person? You just like, you're the person that comes in to heal them, and you want to like bring them into, a better experience of whatever. He goes, well, only I can do that. You can't do that. You can't give anybody salvation. You can't defeat death. You can't put sin on your entire body and then overcome it by a resurrection. Like, only I can do that. He goes, Jerry, you're actually trying to be the savior of somebody, and no wonder all of your love keeps failing. I'm the only person that can do it. And he was like, you inherited that from watching your mom love, and you thought that's how I love. Well, I do love that way, but I don't want you loving that way in a relationship. I want you to receive that love from me where I am your salvation. And because you are in the safety of having everything you need from me, you then die to needing something from someone else that you can just see them as they are. Oh, whew, what a redemptive experience.
Oh,
Where now, it took years of dating, of practicing, where I use dating as like a practice field for me. I was like, I know nothing about being a husband. I know nothing about letting God be a husband to me. I knew that I was loved, and I knew that God was my father, but walking into the intimacy of being bridal as a man seemed like a contradiction. Well, how can I be a bride when I'm masculine? Right. And then because I was seeing it through a carnal mind, I was seeing it as the world sees it. But when I saw it through the spirit, that being bridal is not about feminism or masculinity. Being bridal is being human. And when I start walking into that original design of like, Jared, when I see you first, you're human first before you're anything else. Man, I died to all of the cultural expectations, all of the cultural belief systems, black love. God's like, that does not exist in me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like being a black man, it's like, yeah, that's your experience. But Jared, that's not the image that I made. I didn't define anything by the color of your skin. And so I started to die to all these worldly things that I was trying to birth out of spiritual revelation. God's like, I didn't reveal that. And so I think, like, as you said, like becoming a healthier version of you, the healthier version of me started when I sat with God and he had to let himself reveal his image without me having an opinion. And then the opinion that I had after the image that he revealed, I realized a lot of things I thought was him were not true. And it moved me into a different space of a relationship. And he was like, Jerry, you are so busy thinking that I am a God who needs you to do something. And I know that this is going to hurt in this moment, but I don't need you to do anything. In fact, none of me needs you. I just want you. Now, now in the world, I need you to redeem this because everybody needs something from me because I just came out of the womb with male biology, which means everyone needs something from me. And that defines my purpose and destination of existing. And God just told me that none of that came from him. Okay, so what is purpose and destination in this world from you? That all of that had to get rebuilt back up because what I thought came from him didn't. And God was like, Jared, did I make a human doing or did I make a human being? Oh, you want to know why I said that I am that I am? I am the able one. I am the ability of a human being. And then he started taking me through scripture and I started seeing Jesus believe the same thing about his masculinity. And then I started seeing Jesus, who was the perfect example of manhood and sonship in its true form and humanity in it. And Jesus said in scripture, if you think that this is I'm the one doing the miracles, if you think this is the one that I'm the one producing the revelation, it's not me, it's my Father. So you mean to tell me that you are living a life where somebody else is doing all of it and everyone's looking at you as if you did it? Yeah, that's your life. So my whole life, the only thing people are supposed to see is God doing, the only one being the able person. There is no ability in me. That kills everything that comes with earthly romance, because in order for me to be qualified to a woman, I have to have ability. And God is saying, I didn't make you with it. So
I just want to have purpose.
and the purpose is being with him. Did not Jesus say, for to know God is eternal life? Just being with him. And then I started looking at Jesus's life. And then I looked at Adam's life before he knew death. And all he knew was being. Oh, now I get why you called me a human being. My whole purpose of being imagined by God, of being materialized by God, of God saying, I knew you before you were formed in my mother's womb. Well, what did you know? I'm curious. What did you know? Then he took me to Psalm 139, and he's showing me all that he knew. And he was like, before you can even experience these things, I want to let you know that you were made to fully enjoy me being God to you. So when you when I put you in a human body and you live in this human world full of death and sin, he goes, you will never have to compare what I believe you are to what they believe about you. And then when that started to produce in my heart, I started realizing that my lens towards romance completely changed. And now it was easy to be emotionally available with women. Not because I went to therapy. I'm not saying therapy is not great, but I was sitting with the Holy Spirit and God was revealing to me that the greatest therapy that I could do with a woman is to say, we're both human. I died to trying to be a man with emotions. Emotions do not define gender. Emotions just sees human. We're the only ones trying to divide it and filter it from our gender because the world says we should be different because you're a woman and I'm man. You should be more sensitive than me. And I realize it's not true. It's all a lie.
So, y'all, see what you're talking about? Just see your collection plate. But I'm gonna drop a scan ship in the show notes. I know he'll get mad. But baby,
it changes everything, right, Lauren? Like it changes everything.
It does change everything. But I think contextually, what I would love for you to do, because you and I are two oceans, and they're swimmers.
They have life jackets. We're providing life jackets.
Yeah, we're providing life jackets in this safe experience. But I would really love for you to, because I love everything you said, but I would love for you to define for our audience what is redemptive love, and maybe it's redemptive and just love. But how would you define that? Because that has that's a huge point of like, okay, how did you get to this point of cross?
So redemptive love is when you allow God to persuade you that he is the only person that can reveal to you what love is. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. I don't care what season you're in. And I know we as church folk.
How we be doing?
We got a Daniel season, a David season, a Samson season, a Sarah, all the seasons. I'm here to bring simplification, to bring ease to everyone's life that's listening. In every season, it's the same with God, is to sit with him and to let him persuade you that he is who he says that he is. That will be in every single season. If you can sit in that, you will always be in redemptive love, because you will constantly be fashioned and sit in the awe and wonder of God's love that it says in Ephesians, for it is without measure and height and depths and widths, that we would come to know the love of God through Jesus, so that he can show and reveal the fullness of him as God. That is redemptive love, to sit with the Father, to get curious, to be open, to be vulnerable with God, to ask questions. God, I know that this may lead to a very challenging conversation, but is what I believe about love in agreement with what you believe about it? That's how it starts, Lauren. That's how it starts. Are we willing to ask God if he's in agreement about what we believe about it? We think we know. And that's what causes the barriers. And it's so interesting. We're like, well, I have all these preferences in dating and romance and all these things about life. And then we'll say that we're children of God. Well, if we're children of God, I surrender my preference to God to say, God, is that a preference? He goes, no, that's not a preference. That's a lust. Those are two different things. And so redemptive love is sitting with God and letting him persuade you that he is love, and trusting him and letting him fine tune and transform and begin to remake you into the image of the love that you were designed to know, receive, and walk in, and him being the only person that can show you that, and allow him to get out all of the things that are intermixed in our belief, and to let him purify it by showing him what's inside of him to you, so that you can see what's inside of him is the only thing that he wants to be inside of you. That's redemptive love. And when we live from that, our lens towards everything that we desire will always be pure, because we're seeing things as he sees it. That's the redemption. That's the work of the redemption. And you can't work it, Lauren. You can't obey yourself into it. You can't study yourself into it. You can't purpose your way into it. You can't destiny your way into it. You're going to be like Jesus hanging on the cross, realizing that all of sin and death is upon you. all the counterfeit and all the trauma and all the brokenness and all the humanity and all the imperfection and all the pain and all the guards and all of it's going to be on you. And you're going to have to sit in the same faith that's in Jesus that only God can give you to say, and yet he will still resurrect me on the third day. That's the only love that can redeem you. Because when you have a love that not even death nor life can cause you to believe anything different, you will realize that you don't need anything else. And it's easier to choose people when you realize you don't need anything from them. That's why we have the barrier, right? The world has made the scale now. Women make money, we make money. There has never been a time where we're like, we can finally do this together and it's on nobody's shoulders more than the other. And this is the time where we're fighting the most. Women and men fought less when women had less rights. Now women are considered equal and we fight the most. Where do we see that? In the garden. And who did the enemy go to make her believe that she had less than, to prove that she was equal? He went to the woman. Well, what generation are we in? The enemy constantly going to women in our American society, thinking that if they have more, they will be proven equal. Well, daughters, I'm here to tell you that you are already equal because you were fashioned by God. And no amount of achievement or material or looking at a man can actually define your equality. In fact, when God was allowed Adam to name Eve, he did not say she was equal. He didn't even define her as whole. He just defined her as claimed. But you being claimed has nothing to do with your value. It has nothing to do with it. If God fashioned you, then the person who made you is the one who holds your value. And we're letting the world tell the women the same thing that the enemy told you. Are you sure? And you're questioning God. Well, maybe if I did have the ability, maybe if I could do all these things, maybe if I could reach all these markers. And I'm not saying success is bad, but I'm asking the question is, who is the one that's plaguing our hearts to chase it? And what is it bringing into us and forming us into? And when we ask God the question, Lord, does my success reveal you? Or does it reveal an image that doesn't look like you? And if I had to leave it all behind to prove that my equality was in you, would I walk away? And most of us would say no. And that's how we know we're defined by something other than the image. And so we're sitting in this time, Lauren, where the enemy has this like stronghold on women, where them becoming in this assumed equality with men to compete or to equalize, I can do it by myself. And God is looking at them and is like, daughter, I've always been the only man you should have depended on. And when I'm the only father and man that you're supposed to depend on, you'll look at a man and realize I get to be the helpmate because I can help because I already have everything from God. Now that wanted me to go into a revelation because I was thinking about our conversation. I said, well, Lord, what is this like movement of women being in these economic positions? It's really beautiful. What's your intent? And when I saw Abraham, who is known as like the man of all men before Jesus came, he's called the father of all nations, not son of all nations. No one has that title that has ever been made. And the woman that he had, she was the one, because of her beauty and surrender, was the one that had access to places that he couldn't go to. And Pharaoh was the one who surrendered his wealth when God was the one who spoke and said, that wife is not yours. Her husband wasn't the defender. God was the defender of her, which allowed her to stay rested in her helpmate position, that it allowed her to accrue a wealth that allowed him to build for the land that God had possessed. Abraham did not attain that wealth. He was not a provider. But her surrender allowed the provision of the Lord for the call that was upon their life. So we are in a time where there are Sarahs being thrown into corporate America, into all these democratic spaces to gain wealth and knowledge and access, to come out and say, who has something on their life so that I can release this onto to reveal something that God wants to share. But instead, what we've happened is we've had women become so attached to what they got in those rooms that the man has to have what they have, instead of saying the thing that I have belongs to the one who's been waiting, the one that God wants to make a father of a nation. See, we want to see men be finished and forget that God is the author and finisher of the one who holds the things. And so we've recreated inequality while trying to resolve it at the same time and call it preference.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm literally, yeah. See, y'all can't see this, so let me say this real quick, because before we got on this podcast episode, he wanted to be, just call me Jeremy.
Same.
And I knew when he had those glasses on that he was going to be out here showing out. Now, when I said he was going to show out with the glasses, he was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you are, because this is who you are. So now, okay, that's not my intermission portion, but let me come back to this. So what my heart heard you say was, God wanted our presence over position. And that was really it, that he wanted our presence over our position, and that we already had what we thought we lost.
Say it again. You got to say it again. You got to say it again.
We already had what we thought we lost. And so this is what I've questioned as I've spent a lot of time in the book of Genesis, because it's so fulfilling, is what would have happened? Because you said we question God about different things within ourselves, right? But then it also makes me wonder, do we really question God, or do we question us? Because it's us that we listen to. And you can tell that it's us that we listen to by the decisions that we make. Imagine what would have happened when Adam and Eve were walking around in the cool of the day, and he was so glad that he had somebody he didn't ask for. But he sure said at last in the New translation. When she was created.
It's hilarious.
He sure was glad for that favor, because I know how it is when you ask somebody for a favor. That means you know you don't deserve it, but you just leaning on the everlasting arms. The best gifts are the ones you ain't got to beg for. And he was happy.
Anything you have to beg for ain't
and so
good.
he was so happy. Correct. Anything you have to beg for is not a gift. And if you're going to be with a Jeremiah, you need to know that he is the prince of endurance. So, and long suffering. So here goes my question. What do you think would have happened had she said to him while he was up there smiling because he had somebody? You think God lying?
Yeah.
Because she was walking in the direction of, right? In the direction of temptation, which the word tells us to flee from it, to run from it, track star from it. But, we be running to things that we should run from, and the stuff we should run to, we run from, right? So what do you think, because I really think that's really where we start seeing division at its core, is really the internal ones that we don't talk about.
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal question. If she would have revealed to Adam the conversation that was told to her that caused the question, you have to understand, Adam was the one who was known for walking in the cool of the day. So if anybody knows a question and where to take it to, it's Adam. She was the first human being that was made where a human being was already there. I'm going to say that one more time. She was the first human being that was made where a human being was already there. When Adam rose from the dust, as God breathed him and made him and formed him into life, the only person he could look to tell him what everything was God. That's all he knew. So that's where the submission of the curiosity comes from, is that when I take it to a man who's rested in him, then he takes it to the one who already knows the answer to all of his questions, because that's all he knows. And so what happens is, if you know what the enemy is always getting the temptation, is what we believe about a life. Every temptation is what you believe about a life, not life, a life. And you ever notice Jesus calls himself the bread of life? But the one thing I rarely hear people preach about or teach people about is asking God, what is a life? Because as long as we keep thinking that the world knows what it is, we will always have a worldly concept to define a life while we're spiritual in a worldly concept. And those two don't go together. In fact, God says, I vomit that out. So we have concepts about romance that come from the world, but we want it to be godly, and those don't produce that. You cannot take the seeds of a grapefruit and birth forth an orange tree. And so to answer your question, if she had asked the question, she was asking, she would have revealed what was told to her to the person who was the most qualified to say, man, I've had many of questions myself. I know exactly where to go. And that's what we call the head of something. The head of something is not what we produce. The head of something is who we go to for the one that I am that I am.
That's so good.
So watch what would happen to our American democracy that's in chaos right now. And can I be honest with you? It's always been in chaos. I'm not a political person. I don't choose sides. It don't matter what side is in. If death has not been overcome, and if the government is not telling you that death has been overcome by Jesus, then it is not for you, because death is the issue in this world, and it cannot satisfy us until we know that someone's overcome death. And the government ain't here to do that. In fact, the government produces from death. That's our economy. Every side, it don't matter. Death is always going to bring forth a profit. So we have to understand the reason why we're in this world and why God is sending forth these beautiful daughters in these economic positions is for them to hear the Father and say, God, I'm looking at all this calamity, and I'm looking at all these chaos and places where men have been here and lifted and exalted themselves, and they have found the image of Mammon as the God of their life, yet they say that they believe in you. And yet, God, are there any men that we can send this information to where you can raise up sons, that we can open up doors for them to come, where we can come together and we can restore what it is that's in your kingdom right here on earth? And he's sending the women in there because he knows that when he sends the women in there, he knows that they won't be overtaken.
Yeah.
He knows that you won't be overtaken. So guess what the enemy is making sure you do? Get overtaken by the seat he's given you. So now when I see him, if he don't have my seat, then I can't date him. But you were given the seat to bring the man in who don't have one.
But
help somebody. Let's go.
Y'all know I don't be speechless often. But this man be taking me out. I be speechless. I have to regain speech. But nevertheless, I absolutely understand that. And I think, honestly, both male and female, both men and women, when we stop looking at who to blame and what to claim, come on, somebody, that changes everything. Because quite honestly, the enemy, I tell people this and they laugh when I say it, but I'm like, it's real. If he had a business, I'd buy it. Because he got a good business. He attracting leads every day. He got a good marketing strategy. Like he knows like who is the decision maker, and he knows who's the gatekeeper. And he knew that Adam had taken his eyes off of purpose and had made the prize his focal point, which moves you into the preference, right? Over God's purpose, the preference. And purpose, real purpose, makes you have to sacrifice your preferences. If you still get to hold on to your preference, you ain't in purpose yet, baby. Because purpose is ghetto. And I don't want nobody to think purpose is a mansion. No, purpose is Section 8 housing. Everything falling apart. Y'all got some bars. That's purpose. Because it's tied to shame. And it's our job to overcome it. And I think as men and women, one of the things that we have to be willing to do is something that I learned from Jeremy Watkins. He said to me as we were preparing for this call, oftentimes people want to give me things without asking me what I want. Now roll back to James 4:2. You have not because you ask not. And that scripture was breaking down conflict. And how do we get to resolution? And we get to resolution by asking instead of assuming of what this person wants and what they need. And quite honestly, God gives us discernment. And so I think for us, if we're going to reconcile, we've got to be able to own where we stopped claiming. And quite honestly, we need our men to operate in their leadership. And I literally had this conversation with someone recently who was asking me about what my desire is when it comes to dating and what was it that I was looking for or wanting, and what would submission look like for me. And I said, well, it's easy. A woman will submit to a man that she sees submits to God. And the reason, even if she's strong, speaking from one, even if she's strong, she will submit to you because of how she sees you trust your heart with God. The issue is we stop communing with God. We stop connecting with him. And so then she's questioning, right? Like, is this still it? Is it not? And so the $1 million question is, especially for those that are listening that are dating or even married, especially for my men, because y'all be hitting me up like, she don't want us to admit. Well, she's trying to see if you're doing training, because even when you get your job, you still have annual trainings. Are you going back to training with love? Because that is the example. And I think when we put things in the rightful place, then it positions everybody to win. Because I don't know a woman that doesn't want to be soft. I don't know a woman that don't want to take her cape off sometimes. I don't know a woman. Like, society pressures, and sometimes the lack of leadership has made us have to be versions of ourselves we never wanted to be. Our number one desire is to be washed in you, but you can't. If my body requires ocean, you can't give me streams, and driblets of water, because you're only spending time with God when you say grace.
Yeah.
So I think we have to hold space for the fact that we've allowed what we call intergenerational trauma to affect the way that we show up and the way we expect others to show up. Because I don't need you to pay for nothing. I don't. You're not my source, God my source. But what I do expect is that you can do things that money can't buy and only time can bring: integrity, honesty, consistency, holding your word. Because that's what makes us question when you stop being consistent. And so I think that is really where we have to be willing to really own where we've fallen.
That's good. I think that's beautiful. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think that one of the biggest failures of men is that we have not seen men be human. And in America, it's intentional that the number one societal issue is fatherlessness. And we're not just talking about men being outside of the home, even though I think this generation is doing a far better job than previous of actually showing up for their kids in some sort of way. But fatherlessness is not just the lack of presence. Fatherlessness is the lack of showing our kids how to be human. Like, I find it very interesting how so many parents, like, I would hear people say, well, we don't fight in front of our kids. I say, well, how do they know how to resolve conflict? How does your child know what it looks like to be wrong and what it looks like to humble themselves to apologize to them? What does it look like to actually tell your story to your children? What does it look like for them to help them understand your trauma? When I have conversations with Ava and where I fail as a parent, as I said, I want to let you know what happened to me as a kid. And I said, my parents love me, but this is all they knew. And there are things that come out of me from that child that I still am in a relationship with that end up affecting you. And I'm really sorry for that. And if there's ever any point where you feel like that I'm causing harm to you, I give you the right to let me know that this hurts and it's not okay. Do we teach our children how to have a voice with us? Outside of just, if you go to school, you tell them, if somebody put their hands on you, that's not the only time our children should learn how to have a voice. Our children should have a voice with us because they're human. And the things that they're experiencing in the world is far more pure than us because we've desensitized ourselves because we carry responsibility. Whereas a lot of parts of us, we've actually dehumanized so that we can exist. They haven't done that to themselves yet. So I think with a lot of men coming into this generation, as I hear a lot of women talk about, there's no good men. And I say, no, there's great men. There's just a lot of dehumanized men. And they didn't do it to themselves. So where do they go to get rehumanized? Where is that available? What resources do we have? Even though there's coaches and therapists, that doesn't mean that they know how to humanize you just because they can talk about emotions. Emotions aren't the only part of you being human.
I guess that's how I found you.
There you go. Right? So,
because you go,
I mean,
community.
Yeah, I mean, I
men.
do, but like, I'm no one's salvation. I'm not an answer to a full world problem. I can help those who are in front of me, and I have a capacity. I'm a father, so I'm very aware of all the parts of Jeremy, and I love hosting, communities for men. But you know what the crazy thing is? Even though I have these communities available, men really struggle with allowing themselves to be human because they have so been dehumanized. It is very hard for men to share their insecurities. It is very hard for men to say, I do not know how to create safety for another person. I don't even feel safe with myself. And so,
that's interesting.
So a lot of these conversations that you're talking about is dead on. And I hate it that I've watched my mom have to carry everything for 3 boys, and that's why at this time in her life, like the way that I give back to her is by being vulnerable with her. Hey, Mom, I just want to let you know if you're ever not okay, you can call me. Whenever she comes and spends time with me, like I've had to have hard conversations with my mom of saying, hey, I know that you did everything for us, but I want to let you know I still felt abandoned by everything that you had to give up in order to take care of us. I didn't get to grow up actually having intimate connection with my mother. And instead of wearing that and thinking that I shouldn't say anything, in fact, the beautiful part of my humanity says I have to. And when we get to that point where men can show up in any part of their life, not just with women, but in dating, but themselves and say, you know what? I actually don't feel secure in myself today. Women will start to realize we are just as human as you. We're actually not that much different. And what the beautiful part of a woman does is the naturalness of you guys being vulnerable gives us the freedom and safety. If you ever read, I believe it was 1 Peter 3. What was that scripture I told you to look up when it was talking about the wives? And it says, wives, be submissive to your husband. And it was talking about being submissive in such a way that even if they walk away from the faith, it says that your silence of you resting in peace and joy will bring them back.
Redemptive love.
Hello.
Now we're here.
What? Wait a minute. But we come from the place where a woman's voice is her strength, is what she's told. And I got to be honest with you. A woman that is rested despite my chaotic state, her restedness is what brings me back. It's usually not the voice. It's usually that I can bring the chaoticness of my day and lay it on a shoulder that my chaoticness doesn't break the muscle of the shoulder. It doesn't tear away the layer of the comfort of the skin. It doesn't remove the perfume that exudes from her care. That's what's so powerful about a woman. And in today's society, the enemy is making women believe that if they tear that off and put on a man's wardrobe and have the things of a man, then it will make a man be a man. Can I be honest with you? There is no place where I feel safe in a relationship with a woman and she has the same qualities that I do in my masculinity. There's no safety for that. And so what's so beautiful, Lauren, is as you spoke about, is as we come back into a place where men can say, man, you know what? I may not know how to be human. I may not know how to create safety, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm at a point in my life where I would learn how to. It's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be hard for you, But if you're open and willing, I am willing to walk through that with you because I already know that's what a relationship with you will take me through. It's a different conversation in dating. Hey, how's your humanity? How's your relationship with you? We don't ask those questions.
You know that was my masterclass? That's coming up right into this month, but you just done plugged in. Yeah, come on, John.
You know what I'm saying? Like those questions, right? Invites the redemption. Like those questions, like if we were meeting with someone, even the males in your life, ask your sons, ask their dad, ask your father, ask your uncles, ask your male peers. How is your relationship with you going? Most men, most people don't even know what that looks like. But I would say majority of men have no idea what it looks like to have a relationship with themselves. Most men would define the relationship with themselves as an ability to actually meet a goal or not. And that has nothing to do with the relationship with you. My output is not the proof of my input. Because remember, I wasn't made for ability. I was made for intimacy. Right?
Correct. Yes, I'm trying to listen. Y'all so deep because I'm trying. Send me some water. I'm stressed because this is so.
I'm telling you,
it's so good because it's something you said though about the relationship with self, and I don't want you to. You didn't gloss over it, but I want to skirt back to it. And you said about like men coming into your space and them still struggling to like feel safe. But it's also because they're around other men. And that pressure of performance, that pressure of shame, interesting enough, as you were talking, I was thinking about like one of the things that I have somewhat struggled with coming out and saying is that although my company, we work with men and women, I personally love working with men. And men get very vulnerable in my space. And a lot of times there are partners like that, because, women, we gonna always try to give you a heads up. Girl, he ain't gonna be vulnerable. He probably gonna come in there and act like he got everything going, And they'll think that he's not gonna talk to me. And then he talks to me more than they expected. And she's like, how you got him? He be just talking to you. And I'm like, but it's a difference because quite honestly, I'm safe. But then also too, men desire nurture. And a lot of times as women, what we don't realize, and it took me divorce. I learned more in my divorce than I ever did in my marriage.
Same.
It taught me that your mouth is a weapon that is forming against him and prospering. And a man's desire to please you is really, it's almost like him trying to seal up a crack that was already there before you got there. And so when we think about love and we look at Song of Solomon and how love is described as this healing thing, but the reason love is healing is because it's revealing. Yeah. And in order for you to have that experience where you come into oneness, you've got to be willing to reveal the parts of you that you think are unworthy of love. Because when we really go back to the origination of this thing with Adam and Eve, they were naked, but they knew no shame. So the goal is to really get as shameless as fast as you can. And that's where you find fulfillment in partnership. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say this for my Black culture, because I'm a Black woman and I have a Black woman lived experience. Unfortunately for us, we have been conditioned to be able to perform, but also to compete. And I can recall I had a conversation with my dad a couple months ago, and he was telling me and my brother, he was like really proud of us, that he's not going to keep fussing at us and staying on us about stuff. And he was like, I feel like y'all gotten to that point that y'all are good now, And he was like, I would make y'all think that you weren't good enough or that what you were doing wasn't good enough so that I would get the best out of you. And as I listened, initially my trauma heard it. And my trauma said, most traumatic graduation of my life. But then my heart, because your ears are dirty. We don't know what's the KPIs on your earwax. We don't know how much is in there, but your heart. Because y'all can live without the ears. Some of y'all did anyway. But with that heart, y'all can't live without that heart. And so when I listened with my heart, I heard differently. I heard him saying, like, I was teaching you to survive, but he was also close to someone who had survived slavery. And so the mindset was, to leave you better than I found you is to teach you to survive. But then I had to come back and say, but that makes really trashy partners. Because now I had that same cloak around my neck. And so the people in my life, I feel like they didn't deserve love if you're not performing well. You're not getting a cookie for doing a job you signed up for. Like, where's what you're supposed to have? And that in my marriage, it made my ex-husband feel like I'm never going to be good enough. And so what we do as women, sometimes we re-traumatize people because we didn't realize that the trauma was still really in us. And we passed that on. And so to hear it, I was like, oh, wait, this is, a lot of people got this testimony, and it's not just color. And I tell people all the time, trauma doesn't have a race, it has a trace. And so when you trace it back, then you're not really shocked why the person that you're trying to love is running from love. But I'll end the landmine plane here. Love is patient. Notice God did not start it out and say love is kind. He said love is patient, long suffering, Galatians 5:22. And submission is probably the most sensual thing you'll ever do. It is. And it invites energy and it invites flow and it invites ease and it invites balance. And most importantly, it invites presence in any way that you want to see it. So it's really where fulfillment lies. But I had to go through life to figure that out.
That's so meaty. There's so many things that I could go off of from that. That's fire. I want to go to why God stated love is patient and why the fruit of the Spirit is long suffering. My pastor said it, and I was like, you just changed the game. People always say, I hate praying for patience because God will always put me in a position where I got to be patient, right? Oh, we always heard that growing up. But here's the funny thing. My pastor said, patience is just us coming into the persuasion where we realize we already have everything. That's why it's easy to wait.
That is going as planned. That is going as planned energy.
Listen, when he said that to me, what?
Y'all better.
That's what I've always wanted. Who is the one that has everything that satisfies me? And when God was like, no marriage, no woman, no preference, there is nothing that is created that can give you what only the self-sustaining creator can give you. And when he said that, I sat with the Lord and God was like, Jared, do you know how easy it is to love someone when you realize you already have everything? Do you know how easy it is to walk in reconciliation with someone when you realize that they're not trying to hurt you? And that even if pain happens, I am the healer of everything that can happen to you. So you don't have to guard yourself, but me as God guards you. We have this idea that having God is the absence of going through the suffering of life. And nowhere does it say it. God said this to me the other day. He said, Jared, why do people think that I did not have to endure suffering and pain? He said, he didn't say that I defeated the world. He said, I overcame, which means I had to go through the world to get on top of it. When we go through relationships, who are we going to go through with? We don't want to go through. When you talked about shame, I think the reason why we're so attached to money and lifestyle is because there is such a deep masked shame that we are looking for something that proves that we have everything and that this person can't take it away from us. That's the reason why we project income on one another, because we are afraid of lacking. And the crazy thing is, as long as you're looking at the world to determine what you have, you're already lacking. Yo, let's go back into Laura, I'm going to say it again.
Come on.
It has to be said
Come
again.
on, say it.
If you are looking at the world, social media, podcast, I don't care what your source is, to determine what kind of life you should have so that you will never feel lack again, I don't care if you make millions of dollars. If you are looking at the world to determine what your life is so that you can feel satisfied, you will always be lacking because it can't satisfy you. A dying place cannot give you satisfaction. Principles from a dying place cannot tell you how to actually be satisfied. It cannot do it. Only something that cannot be overcome by death, the life of God, is the only thing that can tell you that your life is already satisfied and it has everything. When you live from that, you will look at the dating pool and everything in your life and saying, wow, there is a lot to choose from. There are so many great people that are amazing, that are stable, that are great, that are filled with love. But because there is no carnalness, when you look at them, it's the only time you can be able to see them clearly for who they are. And I tell you, Lauren, like after my divorce, I loved dating so much because I wasn't trying to date to get something from someone. I was dating to see them for who they were. And I was like, oh my God, there's so many amazing women out here. Oh my God, this is incredible. The whole earth is, God, how do I choose one? They're so amazing. Oh my God. Listen, listen, you hear me? So put your number on this paper because I was, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't even sexual for me. God had opened my eyes.
That's it.
And I was no longer looking from a place of lack. That if this person gave me this, then I will be sufficient. And I had freedom to give myself, no matter what they withheld. And then I put this on my dating post the last time I was on a dating app, and it tore people up.
Girl, don't tell us about it, tell us.
Listen, this is what I put on there. I said, something you should know about me. I said, the depths of love that I am rested in and have the maturity to give will cause you to want to sabotage because maybe you've never experienced it before. So if you want to have a conversation with me or engage with me, you have to know that when that sabotage shows up, you have to choose to stay if you want to get to know me. That's what I put on there. Because I didn't have preference. I just wanted to have connection with a human. Because I know what that, listen, I've reached a point where I'm not afraid of staying anymore. So if you're a person that wants to stay, when you experience something that triggers something in you that causes you to want to leave because this is foreign, I want to walk with you. If you can stay, you don't even need to build somebody else up for them to become what you need. You will see them as God sees them, and you'll realize there'll always be enough. And you don't need them to have a better job, make more money, do this or do any of those things. You just sitting in the vulnerability of watching God be the author and finisher and saying, he's doing the same to me. You want to walk together? It removes all of the barriers out of the way where we can just be human beings together. But we're not trying to be together. We're trying to do together. That's why we have the barrier. And God didn't create relationship so Adam could do something. God created relationship so he could experience what it was like for him to be loved by someone else as God loved him. I want you to know what it's like to sit in my shoes, that the way that you're going to love her, the way that I be with you, you will now know what it's like when you be with her. That's the whole reason why he made it. It wasn't for doing anything. He said he rested after the seventh day. I don't know if y'all know about you, about my God, but when he says it is finished and he rests, there's nothing left to do.
And Adam was at rest when Eve was made. Boaz was at rest when Ruth came inside. So the $1 million thing is, baby, find you a man that's at rest, okay? Not a man that's at chase, the way dogs chase, men pursue. But you're not gonna.
No, tell it. Men who are rested don't chase. We choose. And here's the thing. So many women have believed that they are a prize. Listen, I have literally had women stop talking to me because I rejected that belief. I said, you are talking about inequality. I said, how can you be the prize when your belief system is to depend on me to give you everything that you want?
Correct. But because they take it out of context. So
Lord,
that's not even in the
go
notes.
back. We got to simplify this belief system because there's some people on your call. We got to go back. Stay right here. I want us to destroy this mentality. Okay.
Can we please in Jesus' name? Because I'm about sick of it.
You cannot say that you are a prize if you are depending on somebody else to give you something to determine you being worthy of it. That is not a prize. You have to understand something. When something is a prize, that means that to have it adds more value to the person before they had it. A prize is not something you get and I have to throw everything I have at it to keep it. That's not a prize.
Y'all know we're going to be robbing here.
It's prostitution. It's not prizing. Listen to me. No, whoever created that belief system should be shot in the foot and the pinky toe. You hear me?
And then Jeremy gonna pray that.
Listen, and this, Lord, for real though, we gonna pray for whoever keeps creating this nonsense because it's creating barriers. Men are showing up wanting to love you with their humanity, but unless they give you a lifestyle that has a blank check, then they're not worthy of you because you're a prize. Number one, you cannot sit over here and talk about the world objectifying you when you objectify yourself. Being called a prize is self-objectification. Stop it. You're not a prize. You're a person. You're not something to be won. What are you talking about?
But you're to be one.
O-N-E. You are a gift.
Come on, to be. But you know, okay, so I had to go back to Genesis. Me and Genesis be going together.
You should.
So it does. So Genesis 1 verse 27. So my study Bible, what I love about it, and y'all, it's in the show notes because y'all ask me about it every week. It's in the show notes. Verse 1 and 27, it breaks it down and it says, in the New Living Translation, it says, so God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Now, in my study Bible, it takes it a step further and explains that scripture. And it says, God made both woman and man in his image. Neither man nor woman is made more in the image of God than the other. From the beginning, the Bible places both man and woman at the pinnacle. Pinnacle. When you think about the word pinnacle, means the highest. The only place I've hiked is Pinnacle Peak in Arizona. So I only hiked the highest of God's creation. And neither sex is exalted and neither is depreciated.
Let me get close to the camera.
Why are we competing?
Stop believing lies, y'all. I know it makes you feel good, but it don't make you believe good. Stop it.
It doesn't. And so what we do is we want to reign over something. And it breaks it down in verse 28. It says to reign over something is to have absolute authority and control over it. God has ultimate rule over the earth, and he exercises his authority with loving care. And when God delegated some of his authority to the human race, he expected us to take responsibility for the environment and the other creatures that share our planet. We must not be careless and wasteful as we fulfill this charge. God was careful on how he made this earth, and we must not be careless about how we take care of it. The issue is we're too busy calling ourselves favor because Solomon was trying to explain to his sons in the book of Proverbs what it tasted like if you never had crawfish etouffee. If you never had crawfish etouffee, you don't know what it tastes like. He was trying to tell you it tastes like something you don't even deserve. It tastes like a favor. It tastes like you on Grace Immersion Street. But he wasn't talking about the person. He was talking about the purpose. That's what he was talking about. But what we do, and me and my girlfriends have gone round and round about this, because I was like, baby, y'all so busy trying to be favor that you're not being a helpmate. The guy called you helpmate, Genesis 2:22. You don't want to be that. But that's because oftentimes the man you trying to help, he hasn't found his purpose. So you just mating and not helping. You just MATing, not help. Because he don't have nothing for you to help yet. Because he hasn't spent time with love. He doesn't know what his purpose is. And so until he understands what the mission of the business is, he'll be hiring people that really can't do anything for him. And so the greatest thing that we can do as women who are waiting is know that love is patient. And there's something beautiful that happens in the stillness of the process. And that you don't have to be anxious for anything, because when you understand what your purpose is, he's going to position the person. The math is purpose plus person equals profit. PROFIT. Profitable life, fulfillment. So all you got to focus on is the purpose. Hiring the person is easy when you know where y'all going. But you will have high turnover when you don't know where you're going, and all you out here doing is mating and you're not helping. So my number one question when men pursue me is, well, what is your purpose? And as soon as you can't articulate your value proposition like it's a business, I know then you need to cook a little longer. Because the worst thing I can do is take you out because the crust is hard, but the inside is pink. I'm done.
You was a hot mess.
The crust is hard, but the inside is pink.
I love that. I do, absolutely.
You're not done. So can we please know women that, because I've had girlfriends like, oh, woman, I ain't gonna chase no man. God presents gifts. PRESENT. He presents gifts. When Adam woke up and he saw Eve, he took claim of her because it wasn't Christmas, baby. She wasn't wrapped in a bow. He didn't even tell her what to name her. He automatically took ownership because he saw her, and he saw her because he knew himself. And so it's not about you chasing somebody. It's about, are you present for the job? Are you are you present for the job? Because if you're present for the job, then you ain't got to chase. It attracts. But we are so focused on making sure that we are overvalued that we undervalue the purpose. And so that's how we end up in unfulfilled marriages. That's how we end up sleeping with somebody that we don't know. That's how we end up with soul ties and all kind of other issues. And so as people of God, I think it's super important that we had this conversation to bring home that the purpose is really the thing. And being present is really the thing. And being able to move with flow and ease is really a thing. And I know y'all don't like love is patient, but it is.
It's not lacking anything.
And then it's kind.
Listen.
I had a prolific author say, do your worst, but I'll never do mine.
I know you did quote. How dare you, the audacity. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful?
But I'll never do mine. That's redemptive love right there.
I'll never do mine. Man.
Y'all can just DM because that's his quote, not mine. I ain't gonna take the man guy's
it's God's quote.
But,
I mean, I take no publishing right over what he said. It all belongs to us. I mean, that statement was in a time where I was being cascaded by the love of God. He was pouring it out in such a way where I didn't want anything else. And I was so overwhelmed and I was so overtaken by that I would belong to the Lord, that I was his home, that I was the place that he thought about more than anything, and that he didn't see himself being God without me. And I saw his face clearly as it was. And when you see God in that way and you're invited into the vulnerability of what's inside of him, of God telling you how he feels and what he thinks and what he believes and what inspires him, man, there's no other place to be on the planet. And when I was sitting in that and God was reminding me and showing me what his picture of human love looked like when he was the foundation of it, I saw this strength and love that only he can produce in two people, where even if they become their worst, it doesn't inspire me to retaliate. It was like, how could I ever return the pain or the hardship that you're bringing upon me? Because the love that I'm rested in ain't yours anyways, it's God's. So even if I share my life to you, I can't give my life to you because my life is in him. I'm already married to somebody. All you're doing is joining it. I'm already in love with somebody. I'm already moved by somebody. I'm already in awe and wonder of somebody, and his name is God. And no other person can come in and move me from what I've been persuaded by. So whatever you bring to the table, it doesn't take off what he's already presented to me. So that's where that quote is produced from. And I think when we sit in that kind of love and we really let the Lord reveal who he really is to us, I promise you, I'm not saying heartbreak won't come, and I'm saying that you won't suffer in relationship, but I will promise you that no matter what happens to you, it will not move you in a way where you have to lose the love that always grounds you, which is God. It can't take anything. Like nobody, Lauren, let me say this to you. Nobody can take anything from you. And I'm not talking about materials. We are more guarded over our materials than we are of our peace. And the materials does not produce the peace just because you have stuff. I know that we're all in this gym era and everybody wants to be pretty more than ever. But I promise you, sickness can take that. Sickness that you never thought you can have. If you can lose the thing that you're holding on to, it cannot give you peace. And that's why we have barriers in dating and relationships, is because we want to protect the person taking away something that just being alive can. That person ain't the threat.
Yeah.
Bro, you can lose. Bro, 2020 happened. What then? COVID took everything from everybody. So who are you going to guard yourself from now? What?
Guard with a mask.
Bruh. So I have this quote that the God has always revealed to me that I live in daily. And I said, we are more afraid of pain than we are of love. And because we're more afraid of pain, we guard ourselves from the fear of experiencing it, which actually keeps the love from entering. Because when the love comes, the love exposes the pain that you're guarding or ever experiencing again, so that you can actually reveal that love is the only thing that can actually help it. That if that pain was a return, you don't have to be afraid of it ever again because you know that you're loved through it. You can't receive love and be afraid of pain at the same time. You can't do both. And everyone's guarded. I don't want to be hurt again. Well, you shouldn't date. Enjoy being single. Jesus will be back anytime soon. I tell my friends that all the time. Listen, you gonna get hurt. It's not for the faint of heart. If you want partnership, it's not for the faint of heart. And you creating all these like dragons so that you could be in this tall castle for somebody to come and save you, it's not reality. You're gonna be living a baddie's social media life with 1 million followers for the rest of your life and realize ain't nobody coming to save you. It's not reality. Stop looking at social media to tell you what love is. That's not where it's found. Stop looking on Love Island. It's not real. Stop looking at it. Stop believing it. I love our culture. Black people are amazing. Stop looking at blackness to define love too. Stop it.
Please.
God is not raising up some ethnic nation to show us love. He already showed it. He sent himself. He's the only person that can show us. That's why we have barriers, Lauren. We want black love. I'm like, well, what if your husband is from Siberia and he's the man that God has always intended to come in your life? What if you were made to live somewhere that you've never been before? Like, we are like the rich young ruler in this generation. God, I've done all the things, I work out, I eat good, I've lost weight, I'm in peace because ain't nobody triggering me because I'm so isolated and I don't trigger me. And I read my Bible and I go to church. And God's like, leave all those things and follow me. We like, nah, I'm good. We don't want a love that transforms us. We want a love that comforts us. We don't want a love that transforms us. We want a love that comforts us.
And we should want a love that challenges us.
That's the transformation. What did God say? Do not be conformed, but be renewed. Right?
Be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
How do you think he does that? By allowing you to experience a love that challenges everything that you believe that the world taught you about it.
Disruption.
That's the sabotaging. That's the belief system in us that opposes. Oh, no. And you know what that is? All that is the enemy saying, there's no way I'm going to let you come in and let this truth set this person free. That's all self-sabotage is. All self-sabotage is you have inherited a demonic belief system that opposes the truth of God. And every time that truth shows up, you're like, nah, maybe I'm too broken. I said, you know how many times in the Bible you've seen God marry people who was actually broken? That's an excuse. Who's to say that you can't heal with somebody? Hello? How are you supposed to know that the love of God can actually be in a human being if you're not at your worst and they do not run?
Correct.
Nor how does God get glory of his love if all of us got to be in our healed journey in order to be with each other? The world can do that.
Correct. I was just amen because I was trying to figure out the same thing.
Listen.
Some
of our people might be toe up right now. And you might be meeting them in the worst season ever. And God's like, stay. You like, what?
Love is pain. Listen, I know. Okay. Oh, I know. Trust me. I know what it's like to want to run from somebody. And then you like, why you even send me over here to do so stupid job anyway? Because I really wasn't signing up for it. And then you want me to handle him with care? Then you want me to be gentle? Then you want me to rest in his silence? Then you want me to still come back and say, but you're absolutely amazing. That although I wish I could talk bad about you, I cannot because you're simply amazing. And so I have to sit at do your worst, but I'll never do mine because that's all you can do. And then it brings you into submission. And so this low key Jeremy Fine because he brought me over here in 1 Peter chapter 3. I wasn't coming over here, but since he want to come over here in 1 Peter chapter 3, submission. Let me read this to y'all. Submission is 4 things. It's functional, it's relational, it's reciprocal, and it's universal. It's 4 things. And it's voluntarily cooperating with someone first out of love and respect for God, then out of love and respect for that person. Submitting to unbelievers is difficult, but is a vital part of leading them to Jesus Christ. We're not called to submit to non-believers to the point that we compromise our relationship with God, but we must look for every opportunity to humbly serve in the power of God's Spirit. Do your worst.
I'll never do mine.
But I'll never do mine. Like that's literally submission. And when we look at it from a functional space, functional distinguishes the roles and the work that we're called to do. Relational is a loving acknowledgement of another value as a person. Reciprocal means it's mutual, it's humbling, and it cooperates with one another. And universal, it acknowledges the church, but also encompasses the lordship of Jesus Christ. So there's no separation of it. And so that's why I say it's one of the most sensual acts is to submit. And when we submit, when we are submitting to what we're called to, that is us really telling God how much we love him. And most importantly, a man's love language is respect him. Some women, they don't care how much you tell them you love him. If your mouth's still trash and you're still disrespectful, they're going to run. So just, I had to go. You brought us over here. So I was like, I guess it's me over here. We're not supposed to, be speaking evil of people, but we are supposed to cover them.
I want to add to respect too. When a man truly wants to be respected, it really comes from the source of saying, will you still see me as God sees me when I'm not of myself? Will you still choose to see me as God sees me when I'm not myself? That's respect.
Correct.
It's not just about how you talk to us. It's also about how you see us. And it is disrespectful for a man to be objectified by qualifying his provision over his identity. I'm sorry too. In God's eyes, I'm not saying that a man can't provide. I'm not saying that a man shouldn't provide. Yeah. I'm just saying when it is the qualification of his existence.
Correct.
We are not just providers, no more than you guys are not just homemakers and cookers and laying your back being baby makers. We are all so much more. Right? And when we lay that down and say, Lauren, who are you? Jeremy, who are you? Then we can tell a different story and read a different story about each other that's not convoluted by qualifications that are always going to lead in division. And all divorce is what I believe about love that's not true. It's going to divorce because you can't take something that God made and create a foundation of it that he didn't make and then put yourself in it and think it's going to have the same result. God told me before I ever got married, he says, divorce happens before you ever get married. I was like, what you mean? Why you say that? What that mean? Go deeper. He was like, well, I already can tell based on what you and the other person believe how long this going to last.
Because listen, just because both of us are fast food restaurants, baby, I'm Chick-fil-A and you Burger King. We are not the same. I'm not working on Sundays. My profits are higher.
Bro,
I say my pleasure.
Bro, I'm dead.
Facts.
I'm telling you.
Facts.
Big facts.
Big facts.
Listen.
Big facts. That's why when people come to me and they're like, I'm like, listen. Although the business is called the Oneness Institute, okay? But that's because it's two people who are designed to do different activities that lead to the same goal. So when we don't have the same goal, it don't matter what the activities are, baby. You're not going anywhere. And what a person does in their off season is what they're going to do on game day.
What they going to do, that's a word right there. You have all these like Southern old school sayings that I was like, that's something my dad would say.
Because it's the truth. But shout out to Pops.
Shout out
okay?
to all the Southern folk. But they're one-line wisdoms.
That part. And be right on. Because it's true. If you have not been putting in the work in off season, it's almost football season. You can't tell me that you're ready to get out there and compete. Because if you're only disciplined during the season and you're undisciplined when no one's watching, that's your character.
Thanks.
And to me, that is way more important, especially in dating and determining. My parents laugh at me, especially my mother. She's like, "Girl, are we gonna ever meet somebody? You've been divorced since." Like 2019. Are we gonna ever? And I was like, she was like, are you even open to it? I'm interviewing. I'm interviewing. And when this position is filled, the applications are closed. So, I'm not. This is a big role. Like, we're talking about a C-suite executive level role. I'm not hiring for an assistant. I'm hiring for somebody that's going to be the executive leadership that covers my heart. That's the one organ I can't live without. So I can't just hire fast, especially when my purpose is tied to bringing humanity into oneness with God. You can't know God's word and play in his face. He don't like it. He don't like that. That don't give go together energy. It gives stop playing
Stop
with me.
playing with me. I'm dead.
Yeah. It gives that. Y'all know Jeremy relationship with God be like, yes, mine be hood. Like, get on my face. You know, yeah, mine be hood. Mine be a replica of my ghetto-ness actions.
Stop it. Me and God relationship is my relationship with God is so nuanced. It's so layered. There's times where, man, I have like just cussed the whole time we talk, and goes, I would probably say what you would say if I was you, like, because God is so understanding. The thing about intimacy is that it's not measured by cleanliness or messiness. It just is. Every part of you is safe with every part of him, and every part of him is safe with you. And we operate in that. And it's so interesting because I used to live a life where I thought I had to like fulfill all these things. I've always had like these really incredible gifts. And I had a cousin who passed away. He's like, man, every time I look on TV,
Incredible.
man, I'm like, man, why is it not you? Like, why are you not playing? That was the last time I talked to him before he passed away. And I talk to God about that all the time. And I said to the Lord, I said, God, what is the greatest gift that I could ever give to you? And he said, seeing you as a father and a husband and love a family the way that I love my family is the greatest gift you could ever give. And I would thought it would be how many more books I would have in the tank, how many, all of that. And that's when I kind of died to it. Not to say that I won't ever create again. It's just I used to think that that was my purpose. But my purpose always was for me to sit in his shoes and be like, now you see why I love you and everybody else so much. I want you to have that experience. And that is the most engaging and motivating thing, that I'll step away from anything just to experience it. And now that I am in a position of like having that and being prepared for that and being able to choose that for myself and for my daughter, it's like, wow, now I understand. These books are great ideas. And yeah, I could write them or not, but like, man, my world feels so wealthy, you know, when you go home and you're just like, wow, this is what this looks like. So it's an amazing experience to be able to be as God has dreamt you to be. Because our whole life, we can have so many people who don't have the gifts that you have. And I'm like, man, this is what I would do. I'm like, well, God, what do you want to do with them? He was like, just enjoy your family. Oh, okay. And listen, I don't know if you knew this, but I have 2 failed marriages. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was briefly married to somebody so quickly, I don't even count it, but it counts. Yeah. Listen, but like those failed experiences doesn't define what God believes about my life. And those experiences are so important to me because it showed me to me that I could take back to God. And I'm so thankful that I had all of those experiences, that Ava's mom taught me what it looked like to be a father. She entrusted me with her children before I ever had Ava. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I was a capable dad. I never desired it. She showed me and gave me the space to be what I didn't even know I could be, that only God could show me. And the woman that I married very briefly, she showed me what it looked like, of how capable I was to actually like lead someone in a way where I'm like, huh, wow, I actually am a great husband. Wow, I actually am a great dad. Like, wow, God, and like all of this is satisfying to me. This is so amazing. I don't want anything else. And after that, I just went into a place where once you see that in yourself, now when you date, everything changes because you've experienced something. You have a substance now. And so now I have a substance that in dating, I'm like, I can only be this because this is what God has brought me into being. And so, my encouragement, as we're like way past an hour and a half, to anyone that is single or desires relationships, I would tell them, man, let the love of your family, let the love of your peers and your friends show you how wealthy your life already is without companionship. And that those relationships, if you have the right people around you, that love, let that nurture you into the person that God wants to prepare you through. And I promise you, man, whether you ever find somebody or not, you'll always have contentment. And that having a person or not having a person doesn't define the quality of life for you. And when you get there and you can choose from that place, that's when you know that readiness is full form. Because you're always going to have things that trigger you. You're always going to have failures in relationship. But if the foundation of your choice is, I already have everything, I know that God will walk me through anything, and I already have people around me that'll support me no matter what, that even if this leaves, I still have people that love me, man, I promise you got a really good chance of being able to build something with someone that is only based on enjoyment instead of this demand thing that the world is telling us is what love is about, And so it's a beautiful place to be. I wish, you know what I'm saying?
It is. I've been enjoying it. That's why mom was like,
Yeah.
wait. I'm like, girl, like it's a freedom. And I concur everything that you said. So you have a point of reference. Yeah. And I love that. So this has been such a fruitful, y'all. Listen, I done had to fast. Three goats.
I'm sick of you. Get out of here.
This is like wine, baby. It just gets better with time. Okay, I done had to press. Y'all don't know how long I've been pregnant with this one here, but I am so grateful to have had time with you. And y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all come in my DMs if y'all want Jeremy to come back. I think if I get about 5 people to touch and agree, I can persuade the guy in here. I know they said, 2 or 3 are gathered, okay? I need my 5 of y'all to see a little strong spiritual. He has a high endurance.
Girl, you was playing. I've been in hiatus for forever, though. Like I just got to tell y'all.
Come on, tell us, because you sure came out today with some glasses. Now, next time we're going to go live. Because, see, y'all need to see this man. This man got these glasses on. And when you put those glasses on, you can provide.
Crazy work. That's crazy work. I'm sick of you. No, man, it was perfect timing. You already know of the years of knowing me. It's like I only come out when the Lord leads. Like I'm not a content creator. I have certain gifts, but like I only use them when the Lord asks me to. I'm not a person that seeks things out. And so
I'm going to send y'all 3 scriptures to help bring them out.
We'll see what other event the Lord creates for me to come out and share with you guys. But man, I'll tell y'all, man, to have Lauren produce this content for who she is as a person, as a leading voice, man, she's pure gold. I'm so glad that you guys have her to receive from and to grow with. Man, she is like one of the best people to have you walk with. She is so loving. She's full of so much grace. And all she wants to see you is be as God has intended you to be. And it's really a joy and an honor to be connected and to share beautiful conversations with someone of that nature. So don't ever take Lauren for granted, y'all. Like, enjoy it, receive from it, sit with God in the things that she shares, because I know how much the Lord is in her. And it's truly been a fun ride being able to have this conversation with you after so many years. It's finally here. Here we go.
Hey. Oh, I'm so excited. Well, thank you. And, y'all, he's not going to say it, so let me say it. Baby, go find Amazon. Don't find Jeremy. Go find Amazon. Don't find Jeremy. Y'all got to get his book home. I'm going to put it in the show notes. You've got to go get home so you can come home to yourself. If you have felt disconnected from you, and you have felt like you don't know who you are anymore, and you are tired of living under the pressures that others have placed on top of you, home is where you want to be. Home is where the heart is. Come on, somebody. So I'm going to drop that in the show notes because he ain't going to say it, but I'm definitely going to say it, that you need to read Home. I promise you it's going to change your life. And our masterclass is coming up at the end of this month. So check the show notes. Or matter of fact, let me help you out. Go to www.coachlaurenj.com/masterclass. And we are having our Heal You First masterclass. So Jeremy touched on it. He didn't even know he gave out business. But that is actually our first masterclass, is Healing You First. And I promise you, you will not leave the same. So Jeremy, thank you for your time. Thank you for your grace. And this has been phenomenal. So until next week, I'll see y'all in my DMs. Peace.